I just can't give it up. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, sir. What is going on, YouTube? It is your boy Denali, aka Don Squally, and if you guys can tell from the title of today's video, man, we are jumping on that Vevor Deisel heater bandwagon. Now, I've been eyeing these things up for quite some time. Reluctant to pull the trigger because although I've heard a lot of positive things about them, I've also heard quite a few negative things about them. So I was a little reluctant to buy one at first, but I finally took the plunge. Now, in our house here, we used to have a pellet stove that we recently got rid of. Just the maintenance, the cost of pellets. It heats up the living room really nice, but doesn't really do much else for the rest of the house. And the real reason that we got rid of it is it was just old. It was starting to break down constantly. Parts were tough to find, and I couldn't get anybody out here to fix it. So I ripped it out of the wall in hopes that we could just get away with our baseboard heating for the winter. And already it's been about minus 20 a few days here and there. The baseboards will heat the house up with no problem, but obviously we're a little concerned about that hydro bill, which has gone up since then. So I ended up buying the, I guess you could say, all-in-one unit here. Has a little control panel on the front of it, and the idea is to mount this thing outside of the house, run the duct inside where the pellet stove chimney used to come out, and we're gonna see if this thing can at least heat the living room halfway decent to take a little bit of the edge off of the baseboards and hopefully provide just a little bit more heat inside of the house. Now, I know these things are not supposed to be used for a house. I have a feeling it's just some sort of a legality issue in case something goes wrong. But I'm going to keep my eye on it the first little while that I'm using it. It's not going to be something that I'm using when I'm not home. Now, we are looking to get a couple heat pumps installed on our house. So if that goes well and I don't need this next winter, the idea is going to be to mount it somewhere inside of the garage and hopefully provide a cleaner heat. Right now I'm using the propane a turbo torch there, and that thing gets a little stinky after running it for a little while. But nonetheless, I just want to go over a quick review. Now, if you guys are watching this video, you've probably already seen a number of unboxing videos on these things. But I just want to go over a few products that I ended up purchasing with my diesel heater. And I think if you're looking into getting something like this, you might want to consider a few of these items over here. But yeah, this thing, your pretty standard diesel heater. This will be your outlet going into the house where the heat's blown out. Again, the LCD controller screen. I ended up getting the one here that has the little LCD remote here. So I'm going to be able to hopefully control this thing from inside the house. Like I say, this unit here is going to get mounted outside in a box. And the only thing going into the house is going to be the duct where the heat goes in. Now, I have heard one negative thing about doing it that way is this thing, when it's drawing in ice cold air from outside, this thing does have to work a little bit harder in order to heat the air that it's pushing into the house. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to test it for the time being, see how it works. Worst case scenario, if it's not working as efficient as I would like it to, then I will run a duct for the air coming into the combustion chamber, maybe from inside the house. Somehow I'll see if I can cut another hole beside the hole for the heat going in the house, just to draw some warm air from inside the house to hopefully combat that. But that's what's going to happen with this. Now, I'm not going to do an install in today's video, so if that's what you guys are here for, subscribe. I'll be doing that very shortly, let you guys know the idea that I come up with. But I just want to go over a few of the items that we have here. So here we got the little duct. This is going to go on the inside of the house, and that's where you're going to be able to aim your heat. Now, I'm probably going to get one that closes, so when I'm not using it, I'll be able to isolate the cold air from coming into the house, even though that really shouldn't be a problem. We got a bunch of clamps here. This is going to be the air intake for the actual motor itself. Now, that mounts to the bottom, as well as the exhaust pipe, which, if you guys have seen some videos on these, again, mounts to the bottom. Now, this unit does draw in cold air from the back. This is what's going to go into your combustion chamber. That's basically going to be the air that this unit's heating. And the air intake that's on the bottom is going to be just for the motor itself, kind of like a air intake on your car. Then we got the 3-inch diameter pipe here. Also comes with a little intake pipe. Figure out how and where I'm going to end up mounting this stuff a little later on. Then it comes with the instruction manual. Now, from what I've read online, these instruction manuals are not the greatest. I myself have watched enough videos on these things that I have a good idea of how I'm going to install it and what I need to do to install it. But if you guys are buying one of these and you haven't done a lot of research, just keep in mind that this instruction manual very loosely translated to English, so that could probably be a problem for you. And then of course we've got the muffler that goes on the end of the exhaust pipe. I've seen guys online that don't even run these. This unit again is going to be outside. I'll probably put it on just to keep things quiet and keep it as stock as possible. But yeah, you get a nice little muffler there. Now over here to my right, which would be your left, these are the items, the additional items that I went ahead and purchased for this install. So one of the main things that I heard about is the fuel line. The fuel lines are really chintzy on this thing. After they get cold, after a little bit of use, they do tend to crack and cause leaks. So I went ahead and just bought some upgraded fuel line right off of the bat. I would recommend this 100% to anybody who's getting one of these units, especially if you're going to have this unit inside your garage, your house, your camper. You don't want diesel spilling inside there. Trust me, it's a very smelly fuel. Next up here, what I have, again, I would highly recommend this. I purchased all this stuff on Amazon. I'll be, if I remember, I'll add some links down in the description there for you guys to purchase the same stuff I got. This here is a fuel filter. Now, ideally, this thing shouldn't really need a fuel filter. I'm using a brand new diesel tank that I just purchased. There really shouldn't be any debris in here, but for the money you're spending, a couple $100, this I think was like $220, $230 with shipping. The last thing you want to do is burn out the motor just because you're getting contamination in there. So upgraded fuel line and the fuel filter is one thing that I would 100% recommend that you guys purchase if you're planning on getting it. Now, the other things that I have here are basically just something that, I did my research and I kind of came to the conclusion in order to maintain the longevity of this unit, I did go ahead and purchase a couple of things here. So what this is a voltage protection module. Now, what you're going to be able to do with this is going to go in line with the fuel pump. It's going to measure the voltage coming off of the car battery that I'm using. I'm going to be using the battery off of this Civic here, just because it's already in the house, staying warm, it's charged up, and I do not want to wreck that battery. So what this is going to do is it's going to measure the voltage of the battery. And let's say that I'm running the battery solely off battery power. You can set the voltage. I'll probably set the voltage to cut off at 11.5 and cut back on at 12.5. So if your battery gets below 11.5 volts, this is going to cut power to the fuel pump. And that's basically going to give this unit enough battery to go through the shutdown procedure. Now, if you just cut power to this unit, it doesn't go through the cool down procedure. You do risk burning out the computer components inside. And again, for me, spending the money on this, I want to ensure that it lasts me a long time. If you guys are running this off of a battery, which I would recommend, because again, if you're using land power and just hooking it up directly to a wall outlet, if the power does go out, this thing's not going to have the opportunity to do the shutdown procedure. So that's what this is for. And then this relay right here, this basically works in conjunction with that, just to make sure that there's no issues here. It's got a fuse on it and everything. So I'll be doing a quick video on how I'm wiring these two items up together. Again, they just go in line with the fuel pump. That, again, will be in a later video. Now, since I am running it off of a battery, one of the things that I decided to go with is one of these Simple Series battery charger and maintainers. Now, this one here is a little bit bigger. It charges at 3 amps. Most of the maintainers are only going to charge around like 0.5, 7 or whatever. This one's a full 3 amps. So the idea behind this is that I'm going to plug the unit into a 12-volt battery. I'm going to then connect the maintainer to the 12-volt battery. What that's going to do is keep my battery charged all the time. So I'll essentially be running it offshore power, but the thing is, we're out here, we're in the country, so let's say that the power does shut down in the house. This thing is no longer going to be working properly, but it will ensure that I have a full battery whenever it does go down. And that's where this little shut-off switch here is going to come in handy. So if the power does go down in the house, this thing will run off of the battery. For how long, I'm not 100% sure, but once it does get to like a critically low voltage, that's where this thing is going to come in handy. So if you are planning on using a car battery, I would recommend a decent charge controller. Again, not necessary. You can run it off a battery if you have solar. A lot of guys running them on their RVs. They'll plug into their big batteries on the RVs. But for me, because I do want to kind of have the best of both worlds, where it's essentially going to be plugged into the wall, fully charged all the time. But if the power does go out, I'll have some juice in the battery to power this thing. And then again, once we get down to our low voltage, this is going to ensure that it goes through the proper cooling cycle when it does shut down. So to me, both of these things were very essential for the setup that I'm going to be using it in. And then this stuff right here is a diesel fuel supplement cetane booster winterizer. So for those of you guys who know, diesel doesn't do particularly good in the freezing cold. Because this unit is going to be mounted outside, albeit inside of a box. I am going to build a nice box so no rain or snow gets on it here. There is the potential for the diesel fuel to freeze. So that's where this is going to come in handy. I believe this stuff is necessary if your diesel is going to be sitting out in a -20-degree temperature. And again, for me, because this is going to be outside, I think this is also going to be extremely necessary. So keep that in mind. If you guys are planning on mounting at least your fuel tank outside and it does get extremely cold, you might want to pick some of this stuff up. I am extremely excited to see how this thing works. Now, even though I have seen quite a few negative reviews with specific issues like it not shutting down properly will cause the computer board to overheat. Running a dirty fuel or running this thing on low can cause the combustion chamber to get a little sooted up there. So I'm also going to keep an eye on that. But even though there are a lot of negative things about these units, again, if you take the proper precautions, fuel filter, upgrade the fuel line, this voltage protector, you can get a lot of use out of these things. So yeah, I'm pretty pumped to get this thing set up. So in the next video, we're probably going to be doing a quick install of the switches here. If I don't do a how-to, I'll definitely be putting up the schematics to wire this thing in. Should be relatively simple. And then once we get it up and running, I'll show you how the control works. I'll show you how the remote works, and I'll give you guys a little bit of feedback on how exactly this thing works being mounted outside of the house, blowing the hot air inside through a little hole in the wall. And one of the main reasons for me putting it outside is I do have kids inside the house, so I don't want them to be touching or messing around with this thing at all. And like I said earlier, diesel fuel smells. So if I spill any diesel fuel on or in or around here, or we have a fuel line leak or something happens, I don't want it to smell up the inside of the house. So I think having it outside and just being able to blow the hot air inside the house through this tube is going to help eliminate some, if not all of the smell. But that's pretty much all I wanted to go over for today's video. So again, if you guys want to see any of the products that I'm going to be using on my diesel heater, I'll see if I can find the links where I bought these things here. The voltage protector, the fuel filter, and the fuel line was off of Amazon. This here and the diesel fuel supplement was from Canadian Tire. So if you guys are in Canada, that's where you're going to find these things. But as far as everything else goes here, all Amazon, and I will be leaving the links down in the description. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video. So if you guys did enjoy this one, don't forget to smash that like button. If you guys want to see more videos like this in the near future, definitely stick around. And as always, I am your boy, Dnolly, aka Don Squally, and we're going to catch y'all mofos at the next one, man. Peace.